everyone. This is Korath Landwalker, and this afternoon we will be continuing our Aurora MR challenge in Star Citizen. But before we get started, a couple minor details. Firstly, we have a Freeflight week happening right now. I'll bring this up on my browser on the RSI website. Right up here, we have February Freefly 2021. It's been going on since Monday, and it will continue to go on. Get back there. It'll continue to go on until Thursday. Now, if you have any interest in trying out Star Citizen, then you would go to the RSI site and click on the February Freefly 2021. And they'll bring up this handy page. Catchy little intro here. A list of the ships that'll be available to you in the free flight, which include the Anvil Arrow, which is a good fighting ship, light fighter, very maneuverable. Miss Prospector, if you want to try mining a bit, starship mining that is, not necessarily hand mining or ground mining, although you can mine certain rocks on the ground. The Misk Freelancer, something I always recommend to start out with cargo hauling. The Mustang Alpha, which is honestly only here because it's one of the two cheapest packages in the game, so I suspect they're trying to give you an example of what it's like to fly one. The Drake Dragonfly, which is a nice sample of ground transport. There's all sorts of vehicles that are ground transport, and this is basically your speeder bike from Star Wars, if you want to think of it that way. And finally, lastly, but not the least, the RSI Aurora MR, the very ship that I started this challenge with. Now, when you scroll further down the page, it gives you instructions on getting the account, basically getting yourself set up for the account. You get this free flight code. You copy it by clicking on it. You would enlist or log in. And if you have not created an account and want to, then you can always try out, if you want a quick shortcut and want to help me out any, and get yourself a little bit of UEC to spare, you can use this link with a referral code that will give you extra cash, and me, well, I think I get maybe a gun, maybe, or a Grey Cat PTV, one of those tiny buggies. Hey, whatever. But it helps you, and it helps me. Why not? Of course, if you already have an account, then you can just enlist and log in. Step 2, when you do that, you'll have your free flight code that you copied above, and you would paste it in. And then you would download the game and begin free flight. Make sure that if you're planning on doing this, you have a computer that can handle the specs. Read the specs, take them seriously. Okay, that's part 1. Going on to part 2, we have the game, which apparently is giving me a black screen at the moment. There we go. The streaming. Little streaming problems that happen occasionally. In any event, our goal today is to continue the Aurora MR challenge. And I have every expectation of completing the Aurora MR challenge today. Let's take a quick look at where things stand. This is my personal chart that I've been using to track the movement of income from the Aurora MR challenge that I began on December 5th, and for each day that I've done the challenge for 2 hours. We're in day 10. So technically speaking, this is hour 19 and 20. So if I succeed in getting to this goal in my current UEC, and we'll do the verification on that momentarily. If my UEC in my bank account today meets or exceeds this number, the challenge will reach its conclusion because I will hit the goal necessary to purchase a Cutlass Black. And as you can see, I don't have very far to go. It is possible to get it done today. That's where things stand. Hey, Legend. Glad you can make the stream. Yes, we are definitely going to be pushing to the end here. So, let's bring up the stream again to the game. Let's verify that the numbers in my Mobi-Glass match the numbers I have listed for my starting UEC. 5,668,689 AUEC. So, the numbers match. As always, the total profit is on the upper right-hand side. When that total profit exceeds 1.4 million, we have made it. Unfortunately, I don't have any way for it to do that dynamically, which is a pity, but hey, you take what you can get. Right now, I am in the landing zone of Lorville, where I will once again lop off a chunk of my cash to grab the RSI Constellation, which has been the big surprise, honestly, of this entire challenge. I did not expect that the Constellation would be my primary moneymaker for this challenge. I'd have figured the Vanguard Warden or the Anvil Arrow would have been doing it, but can't hardly believe that the Constellation did it. So we are going to do the rental. So I've already put myself 70,000, close to 71,000 in the hole. But that's okay, because thanks to my 10 days of careful work, I've gotten well enough to get good reputation with everybody I need to earn close to 70,000 right off the bat. And I've gone into the elevator because I have not gotten the stupid ship from the terminals. I've rented it, but renting it alone means nothing. I have to actually go to the vehicle retrieval terminals and get a hangar for it. I'm certainly starting this one off great, aren't I? Oh well, sometimes I'm slow. The Aurora has done a remarkable sorry, not the Aurora, the Andromeda has done a remarkable job on taking out high-end bounties very quickly. Now, why am I flying this? Because just because I started with the Aurora doesn't mean I end the Aurora. The Aurora got me the money I needed to get guns, personal equipment, armor, and the ability to rent other starships, such as the Anvil Arrow, and then the Sentinel, and finally the Constellation Andromeda. Everything done here is resting on the foundation of the Aurora MR. If I had not started with the MR, if I had not gotten the profits I did with the MR, I would not be where I am right now. So by the end of the stream, with any luck, I will have proven that yes, you can get the cheapest package. Hey, Fiendy! Welcome to space! I will have proven that the cheapest package can be purchased in the game, and you can still have a hell of a time flying much more impressive ships, up to and including purchasing an improved ship. There are, of course, a couple of caveats that I will go into once we get closer to the end. Yes, victory is our target. Our current profits is our 90 is our profits. Profits are okay. I can do grammar. Profits are currently at 998,796, which is a hair below 1 million, which means I need slightly over 400,000 in profit today to achieve the goal. And I do believe that goal is achievable. So we're going to take the rented Andromeda out. Let's take a look at Lorville a bit at nighttime. It's not the most impressive place at nighttime, but it's decent. Or victory or death. It could be victory and death, and it's quite possible because I have neglected to hydrate myself, which means I could easily die of dehydration in the middle of a fight. Well, we all have our little character flaws. What's the default weapons on here? That is a good question. I want to say they're Rhino repeaters, which are laser repeaters, but let me double check. And that's not including the turrets as well, of course. Yes, 447 Rhino repeaters. So, size 4 weapons. They can and will inflict a world of hurt on even the Valkyries. You can bring me water if I'd like. Nah, no worries, Cap. If I start getting to the point where it looks really, really bad, I'll take a quick pit stop at Everest Harbor and grab one of the water bottles there. We'll see how quickly that 27% holds on. I mean, it's not like I'll be doing a whole lot of physical effort running around places. I'm going to be flying the ship. Let's get a little steeper incline so I can get out of the atmosphere a little faster. Faster, faster. In fact, on the left-hand side, you'll see me moving this little arrow up and down. For those unfamiliar, this is the speed limiter. So I will not be... My vision is going to start blurring before too long. Well, that'll make things interesting. The speed limiter is basically the speed limit of how fast I can make the ship go at any given time. And the little arrow that's underneath that line indicates that I've got the cruise control on, which means I don't have to continually have the button pushed down for thrust. We're out of atmosphere, so the next step is to grab a bounty hunting contract. And cripes, all the good stuff are taken. Where'd they all go? That's gonna complicate things. Well, we'll start out simple with standard bounty and hope that the other ones start spawning in. That will certainly slow down the challenge a bit. I'm gonna grab call to arms in case any ads show up, and I would like to blow them up first. Yeah, those group bounties were what I was kind of relying upon to get to that number. Now the group bounties come up. Well, this will be a much different situation. Uh-oh. My everything just froze on my screen. And my... Uh-oh, guess what that means, folks? I just crashed. Well, that's a bad sign. Of course, that might explain the issue with bounties. Yes, break out the sad trombone. If I'm lucky, I can get back in. This wasn't a server crash, it was just my client crashing. So there's a possibility, just a slight possibility, that I will be able to get back into the server and into my ship. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Oh, and he's in the server too. Let's see. I'm getting server full on that, so... And I'm not entirely sure how long it has before it decides to hose me. Let's bring the client back up on the stream, shall we? Server full, server full, server full, server full. Well, let's try a straight join and see if that puts me back where I belong. It could be that it's holding my place. May all my guesses be right. Server still seems to be up. You should be able to rejoin me. Well, we'll find out momentarily, won't we? I have no idea how this story is going to end. The good thing about taking the single target bounties is that there's no timer on them. If you take the group bounty, there tends to be a 45-minute timer. Granted, if I can't take out the group bounties in 45 minutes, I deserve what I get. But nonetheless. This could be a bad sign. I was hoping it would load in a little faster than that. Well, there is... okay, we've got good news and bad news here. The good news is I'm online. The bad news is it looks like Hurston is on fire. Let's see, you haven't crashed in days, played 4 hours. Yeah, but the key here is I didn't have a server crash, which is kind of good news. Oh, but all the bounties came back too. Awesome. So, completing the challenge is back on the menu, so to speak. Provided that I don't have something horrible happen in the interim. Oh, and better yet, my targets are not stacked. So let's get ourselves back into the groove. You played this morning without a server crash. Well, that's good. I know there's a lot of people talking about a lot of server crashes ever since they put the cap back up to 50 and started Freeflight. But I haven't noticed it any worse than usual. Now, I'm sure that if I were transporting cargo, I would be seeing a lot more of them. Because the server hates cargo runners. Let's get my gimbals set on the guns. Get the quantum spooled up so I can get to the orbital marker. And then, let's see, where is my current target? My current target is over here. Good, just checking weapons. I'm so glad that was a client crash and not a server crash. That would have made life a little bit more difficult, because that would mean I wouldn't be able to get back on board the Constellation, and bad things happen at that point. Okay, let's see. Vanguard Warden. Whoa. Turn to the right, don't hit the rock. And that takes care of the Warden. Like I said, the Constellation has proven to be the unsung hero of the challenge here. I really thought that the bulk work was going to be done by the Vanguard Warden. But the Andromeda, man, I am a believer. In fact, there is every possibility that not only will I grab the Cutlass Black today, but with the money I've been making normally throughout the week, I will probably pick up the Constellation Andromeda as well. It has earned my respect. There's our target, a Hurricane, lots of scatter guns, but the downside for the Hurricane is that it is a more fragile ship than the Vanguards, which means his life expectancy is probably going to be a lot worse. Enemy down. Those are the kind of words I like to hear. Third target. With a number of asteroids in my way. There we go. When this particular mission completes, I will have had enough money to pay off the rental of the constellation, and everything after that is all profit. So far, so good. Been able to take out the opposition without them having chances to get their backup in play. Now, one of the potential targets will be Invul Valkyries, and if those guys show up, they can take at least a couple hits. So there might be backup showing up if I run into one of those. And speaking of the devil, there it is, the Valkyrie. Best known as a well, not a gunship, but a dropship, but it has lots and lots of guns on it. It's also pretty tanky. It can take hits. The fact that I'm still shooting right now is a pretty good indicator of how tanky it is.
Shields attached. Shields max.
He's still kicking.
Check fire.
And that is that. Let's get to a spot that's not here, so I don't have to worry about the ads showing up. I'll grab Cap's invite. Cap is a member of the org that I belong to. 75,000 UEC. Oh, was that a channel? Oh, you have a chat channel rolling. Okay, I gotcha. The problem with the chat channels is they seem to be kind of dubious on their persistence sometimes. Okay, let's do a couple things here. First, let's see what our next assignment is. Now, I could go for the HRT bounty right away for the group, but I'm gonna be clever about this. I'm gonna grab a single high target bounty because my presumption is when I take him out, the group very high level bounties will come back up again. How's that for clever? Legend is telling me that for the Valks, come to a stop so you're in that sweet spot between your range and theirs for as long as possible. Under most circumstances, I would have to agree with that. But under these circumstances, what I'm going to do is I'm going to overclock my Rhino repeaters and see just how much more damage they will do on a hit. I've been going with the straight power settings, but you know, if I'm going to be abusing the bad guys, let's really abuse them. Crime does not pay. Unless you're a bounty hunter taking out the criminal, and then it does pay, but it's not paying the criminal. I know, it's a technical detail. Actually, let's get even crazier. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. I'm going to overclock my power plants, too. Yes, how insane can I get? I'm not entirely sure what good that'll do, but maybe it'll keep things from frying too early. Or maybe not. I rarely do that, so this will be a learning experience. I mean, surely nothing horrible would happen by overloading the very system that powers up my ship. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Yes! For science! Alright, It's let's jump to the target and say hello.
Drive is now on. Auto drive is now off.
And there's my target, and there's another Valk. Let's see how well he handles this. Of course, it gets a lot more impressive if I actually get into targeting range. Okay, let's do exactly what was recommended. Come to a stop and let's hammer him. Okay, well the overheating was awfully fast, so that's a downside. And now he's hitting me, so... But on the bright side, he is little bits of dust, and I'm not. So I'm going to call that a win. Now let's go back to the contract manager and see if my theory is correct. Okay, it's not correct. Looks like I still don't have a very high-risk bounty rolling through. So let's grab the standard high-risk bounty group, because I like money. Oh! And I've been ignoring the fact that I have more targets showing up here. I might as well finish them off before I get too far. Oh, Cutlass Black. That's irony for you. One down, and a Gladius. And he's down. And that just netted me an extra 1,000. Yay. I'm not really sure I'm getting a whole lot of value out of overclocking these things. So we'll just knock them back down to normal. Okay, step one. My first target is practically right here. How come I overcharged the power plants? Well, you know, I've seen a number of builds that have been out there on Urkel that have the overclocked stuff set for the power plants. So I thought that perhaps that might actually do something meaningful. As it turns out, it doesn't seem to have done anything meaningful for this. Now, maybe it would for other builds for other ships, but not for the default builds on the Andromeda. Oh, I'm going to be skirting the atmosphere on this one. Or what is loosely referred to as an atmosphere around this moon. Now, I don't dare overclock the coolers, because if the coolers go, I go. So, we'll leave the coolers alone. And Andromeda. So good to see you. Standing still has its benefits, but moving so it can't hit you consistently is also good. So far, the hits are coming. One down, 2 to go. I'm hearing the angry sound of hostile targets. Those guys are not going to give me any call to arms cash, though, so I'm going to ignore them. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to try to ignore them. There we go. Oh, and I have a neighbor here. Who's that on my radar? Someone who just jumped out. Oh, that's okay. I'd be worried too if I saw someone angling towards me in their ship. I mean, I know I'm trying to be a nice guy, but I'm not. Maybe if I had top tier coolers, run repeaters overclocked and keep the power plants normal. Overclocked power plants generate a lot of heat. That's true, but at the moment, the only thing heat's going to do is make you a target further out. And this thing is already generating a fair amount of heat. I mean, here we are at 18,000 infrared signature, 286 units of heat. I have no idea what those units represent, but I'm assuming they represent something. The Constellation is not here for stealth. They changed it. Now you get the call to arms for ads. You do? Well, why don't we put that to the test then? If I have ads show up, I will duly shoot them down and see if I get any money for them. I mean, I have been noticing I've been getting cash for killing out my primary targets in the group, but I just assumed that was because, you know, part of the bonuses involved in that mission. We will find out. For science! There we go. I was beginning to wonder when I saw this guy shooting at me and I still wasn't getting range on him. Okay, we'll drop down. Don't want to hit any debris. Don't want to hit any asteroids. Try to find a... Okay, there's some ads. Let's put that to the test, shall we? Be my guest, be my guest. Put my lasers to the test. Please don't hurt me, Disney. I didn't mean to use your lyrics. One target down, and yes! Payment has happened! Thank you for that bit of information, Legend, because that is a handy thing to know. Now, granted, the call to arms money is still not worth the time it takes to blow them up as compared to, you know, rushing to target for your primary bounty. But it's nice to know that if I have to fight them, I'm not wasting my time for free kills. That is a nice quality of life change. I approve. I wonder how long that'll last. Oh, I've gotten so cynical. I'm a little bitter about the things I think are quality of life changes that turn out to be bugs. A couple weeks ago in Star Trek Online, they're having their 11th anniversary event going on there. And on my blog, I was singing the praises of the change they made to the daily they had for that, because it used to be you had to go to 3 different locations. But then it seemed like they went, okay, you can go to any 3 of this list of locations. And I thought, that is such a great quality of life change. I approve. And I mentioned that on my blog. Then the patch after I put the thing up, they got rid of that because it was a bug. It wasn't supposed to be doing that. Oops. So I tend to be a little cautious with my praise about quality of life because it may not be intended to be. It could be they don't want to help you that much. Okay, this is our 3rd target for this bounty. And hopefully after he's down, the very high risk threats will come back up. Because those are the guys we're relying on to do our heavy lifting. And it's a Vanguard Warden, which means he's not going to last long at all. Yes, the Constellation Andromeda is definitely the unsung hero of this challenge. It shouldn't have been, but it is. My shield is damaged. His shield is dead. I think we can call it a draw. Oh wait, I'm still flying these knots, so I guess it's not really a draw. Rough break. Let's check our bounty situation. We have another very high risk threat back, so... And it looks like they're all around the same general location. course, I also have targets here who want to be annoying, so they want to play? Let's play. Vanguard Warden, Vanguard Warden.
Shields max.
And I haven't even brought the missiles out to play. Oh, Valk's hitting me. No wonder things are getting uncomfortable here.
Shields max.
Now, while it looks like that I'm being extremely agile here, it's important to realize that my velocity vector is not necessarily in front of me. See that crosshair that's drifting in the right to my center of the screen right now? They look like a greater and less than sign pointing at each other. That's an indicator of where my velocity is currently directing me. Where did my target go? You know what? I don't care. If he wants to leave, he can leave. Could be he rammed into an asteroid. That's perfectly possible. I don't think I would get money for that kill because, well, technically speaking, he wasn't a bounty. He just happened to be a annoyance that popped up to annoy me. Yes, I am a member of the Department of Redundancy Department. Alright, Vanguard Warden, you're first on the showdown. It is good that they've managed to get the bounties to actually show up when you arrive now. It doesn't always happen, but it usually happens. And that's a pleasant change from what we had at the early part of the challenge. One down, 2 to go. Grab the other one in this area. Marker up, spooling up. Let's get a little lower so I don't accidentally have that asteroid in my way. Oh, there's somebody in the area. Who are you? A Vanguard. And bam, he's gone too. Oh, now he's back. Well, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I was just kind of curious. Now, I think that once I take care of these couple bounties, we're going to take a quick pit stop at FotR's Harbor because I can see that my hydration level is down to a lovely 15%, and it might be time to get some food and water into me before I, keel over and die at the cockpit. As long as I can get to FotR's Harbor, we're good, even if I die in the interim, because at least the ship will be there. Plus, it'll save me the money and, paying for food and water. Ideally, though, I'd like the food and water. Alright, Hurricane. Let me give you something to be afraid of. Come on, map. There we go. Our last target is in orbit around Aberdeen, a moon that I'm extremely familiar with because I'm often going there to rescue certain individuals from prison. Well, to be fair, the rescue is only for the transport off the moon. They have to get out of the prison themselves. Of course, those adventures usually end up in prison too, but there's an excellent chance that once the challenge is over, that I will be looking to engage in the criminal side of life next week. Just maybe. After all, we've done all these bounty hunts and all that, and I've been trying to stay on the clean side of the law. Legend resembles that remark. He knows what I'm talking about, and I see Caps respond to that too in game chat. But I've been trying to stay on the right side of the law for the challenge, because being in prison would really slow down my ability to earn the cash. Ah, yeah, see that hydration level? It's red. Red is bad. Now, a smart guy would think, gee, I have 39 more minutes to finish this single target. Why don't I just go to Everest now and take care of it?
Is now off. Auto drive is now off.
But why would I start being smart now? Run on the ragged edge, that's what I say. I will be crawling across the landing pad at Everest to get to the elevator. But I will get there.
Auto drive is now off. Auto drive is now off.
Of course, this was all presuming that my target would be spawning in. Hello, target. Where are you? Okay, let's bring the engines to a stop here to reduce my odds of hitting something like debris, rocks, or other highly damaging large objects. Very rude. There we go. I mean, sheesh, I'm dehydrating to death, guys. Be a little polite and come out and fight me. Let's use the afterburners a bit here. And it's a warden, which means he won't last too long. Unless I really screw up somewhere. And if I don't watch myself, I am going to screw up somewhere. Those asteroids are at least as lethal as firepower. And that takes care of him. So, next stop, if I can get it on here, Everest Harbor. And 74,500 UEC. That's interesting. The last time was a 75. Interesting. And for some reason it is giving me a destination that is through the moon. Sometimes navigation does not work the way you want it to. So we're gonna try to bop to the orbital marker and see if that gets me any better. Preferably before those guys come to hit me. I mean, I don't mind tangling with them and beating them up and all that, but I am down to 13% hydration now, and apparently the alignment of my engines don't want to cooperate. Tick tock, tick tock. They're practically on top of me, but they are too late. Too slow, bad guys, too slow. Now, Everest. Now, fun fact here, I am heading to the marker that says Everest, but the odds of me actually showing up at Everest are almost none. Legend has a theory that the number of ads you kill affects bonus payout. I haven't tested it though. Oh, here's the thing, I don't think I killed any ads on my first one. Although, admittedly, I'd have to go back to the video to look. Alright, now, where did they hide Everest Harbor? Up. Yep, there we are. Alrighty. Everest Harbor. In shadow, because heaven forbid that I show up when it's all well lit. Let's kick up our engine speed a little bit. Slowing it down is going to be a pain, but yeah, somewhere along the line, maybe we will have to do a test on that to see if the ads killed helps the bonus payout. I mean, if you're doing call to arms, you're getting bonus payout anyway for taking them out. So it seems strange that it would let you double dip like that. But on the other hand, if they let you double dip, who am I to complain? Okay, ATC is calling. Air traffic control. Let's get a landing pad destination.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Oh, how about that? I'm even actually heading in the right general direction for once. How did that happen? I will drop landing gear.
Landing gear deployed.
Update my angle of approach so that I'm actually heading horizontal relative to it as opposed to vertical through it. Kill the cruise control. Lower my speed limiter. And come in for a landing. At this point, I can die of dehydration and I don't have a problem with it anymore because my ship will be considered stored and that's all that
Landing
matters.
automated.
And the problem with autoland is if you have a relatively massive ship, it tends to wobble a bit before it sets down properly.
Landing complete. Engines are off.
Have a pleasant stay.
All right, 11% hydration. And you know what? My vision hasn't gotten blurry yet. That's probably just a matter of time. That said, there we go. I was getting ready to say I seem to be kind of at an angle, but I guess that was just a camera issue. Now, the only thing that can go wrong here is if I go to the burrito bar at the hangar level here, and it turns out that they haven't spawned in water bottles yet. Then I have a problem. Yeah, it's just a theory. You know, it's something that we learn things by trying them out and seeing what happens. So sometimes theories get proven right, and sometimes they don't. But we never know until we test them. It's the foundations of science. I was getting ready to say, yes, science! Getting ready to say that the elevator was quite likely going to kill me. Bullet dodged. And now that I'm in here, I can take off the helmet. Now, here's the annoying thing. I take off the helmet, but then I lose the readouts that tell me where my food and water levels are. And I don't even see them if I go back into the menu thing here, the wheel, but interaction wheel, whatever they want to call it. So I have to guess how much bottles of water I need to drink. And then I have to put the helmet back on to find out. Now, honestly, what they should do is they should have an entry in the Moby class here that would tell me this information. That's what they ought to do. Yeah, that's right, Cap. They did used to show it when you did the wheel, but they stopped. And don't know why. And here we go. Vesta! Purified, sourced water by the Bevic group, because they know what you want to drink. And I want to drink a lot of it. But this will at least get me out of immediate danger. Now the polite guy would store this bottle in the proper receptacle. However, thanks to evil companions, I've learned about being able to chuck the bottles as far as I can. Another bottle. Now you'll notice there's energy drinks here as well. But you know what? If I'm going for hydration, I'm going for the pure stuff. Yeah, Legend knows exactly who taught me how to do that. But ordinarily, I'm going to be the nice, polite guy and throw them in the proper garbage receptacles. I think one more bottle of water will do me here. And then I'll grab a burrito. Tasty. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. No, I wouldn't do a thing like that. Here. Couldn't get the right angle on him. I wasn't even paying attention to what burrito I was getting. Tasty. In fact, it was so good, I'll have another one. Let's look at my choices. Chili birria burrito. Hey, it sounds catchy. Yum. Yes, burritos and a lot of other foods will dehydrate you. Yes, that they do. But, you know, for the price of these things, I'm along the lines of, doesn't bother me that much. Alright, everything is back up. I'm at 66% food and 100% hydration. The food will keep. Let's see, pad 8. Can I get to pad 8 before they store my ship? Let's find out. But yeah, a lot of foods will have all sorts of different effects on you. And some of them will dehydrate you, some of them will give you some kind of nebulous bonuses and stuff that I'm not 100% sure I understand. You can find out the details of what some of the attributes of these things mean by going into your journal and going down to where it says better nutrition, better you. And it tells you stuff like nutritional density rating, hydration efficiency index. It tells you what hypertrophic foods and atrophic foods mean, energizing, fatiguing, and all this other stuff, including, yes, dehydrating. A lot of people tend to ignore the journal in the Moby-Glass, and I tried to impress upon people, especially the ones who are starting out, that the journal has all kinds of useful information that maybe you don't want to necessarily ignore. It can tell you what crimes are legal and illegal at various planets. It'll tell you what your criminal status is and why you got the criminal status. Oh, gee, I never closed the elevator. How embarrassing. For all I know, there's somebody waiting on board ready to shoot me dead the moment I get out of the armistice zone. And since we're on the subject of things like pro tips, here's another. If you're on a ship that can carry multiple people, select the ship in your comlink and check to see if there's any other members on there. If you see anything other than blank here, there's somebody else on board. If you don't recognize the name of the person on board, they are here to kill you. Blue drink for the win. You fill your chest storage with them every time. Food and water. Yeah, there are some foods that will give you all sorts of extra benefits.
Welcome to Modern Space Industries. Enjoy the ride.
Okay, we're going to get clear of the landing before it... Yeah, probably safe. And I am, because, for heaven's sake, nope, very few people go haunting the landing pads at Emperor's Harbor. And 2,
Thank you.
really, they can do a lot better than an RSI Constellation. Seriously. Alright, since we're here, let's take a look at our numbers here. We are at 5.8 million, which is a little short of our 6,069,893 goal. So we are making excellent progress towards our final target. And we have another very high-risk threat out there, in grouping, of course. And those are the guys I like to see, because they're the ones that pay. I think we might have a couple who are stacked on this one. So that's going to make life interesting. Let's see, did I close my VTOLs? No, I didn't. Let's close those. I mean, they would close anyway the moment I went into quantum travel. Oh, I have a hostile behind me, and he's shooting at me. Either that or I took some damage somewhere along the line and didn't bother to repair it. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm away from him now. Yeah, I saw a guy who was red there. Hey, take it easy, Legend. Have fun with your Valheim. Valheim is a game I've seen on the couple of Twitch streams, and it looked interesting, but not enough for me to go out and purchase it and play for a few times and then ignore it forever. Maybe if they have a really, really, really massive sale someday. Which has been known to happen, I concede. Alright, target number 1. Who is he? Where is he? Hurricane! Well, it's very appropriate that we're talking a hurricane right now, because I'm going to give him a hurricane of laser repeater blasts. In fact, I will rotate my ship to give him that hurricane feeling. Honestly, if I hadn't been screwing around like that, he'd probably be dead by now. Well, you know, sometimes you do things not because they are efficient, but because they are amusing. Oh, it's also possible I have my gimbals turned off. That's embarrassing. Now he's becoming more than... he's becoming an actual annoyance now. Oh, that was a mistake, guy. Going in a straight line. Yes, I have definitely dropped the ball on this guy. This is embarrassing. And his buddies are showing up. I guess I better kill them too. We're not going to screw around with these guys though. We're just going to kill them. No more clever hurricane puns. Oh, it looks like I've lost a part of my ship. That's going to make landing on an atmosphere a little challenging. And considering that the place to purchase ships are on planets, well, you can see that that might be a little bit of a problem. I have to admit, these guys are giving me more of a problem than I really expected. There we go. And I was completely wrong, because I was sure that this was going to have a stacked target. But it looks like the stacked target might be here. If I can get my course setting thing to work on them. There we are. Clever. Yeah, well, you know, making a pun on words, fighting a hurricane by doing a rapid rotation, so I kind of give him a hurricane of laser fire. And, you know, trying to be cute, and, well, I seem to have lost parts of this ship as a result. This is what happens when I outsmart myself. Repairing that will cost me a little bit of my profit. But only a little bit. I have a radar contact? Hey, Cap, and why are you red to me? Are you trying to kill me? Are you the guy who was trying to shoot me at Everest? Because that was really rude. Now, was he shooting me earlier? So what you're saying is that I owe you a bit, don't I? You'd have a CS now because of that. Yeah, you were still in the armistice zone, weren't you? Because I don't think I saw anything on my system here. Of course, we weren't technically partied, so... But I don't recall seeing anything about pressing charges. Yeah, yeah. Why would he? I wouldn't want to take him right now. He's in a Cuddy Black. Dangerous. I think you overestimate your Cuddy Black. Although admittedly your Cuddy Black is a little more dangerous than stock. Your Cuddy Blacks are likely kitted out with better weapons, better shielding, better everything. Unlike the Cuddy Blacks I blow up in these bounties where they basically die. Not to mention that you are a substantially better pilot than the AI. I would hope that you're a better pilot than the AI. Yes, it helps to have a pilot with an IQ higher than potato salad. Okay, that target is down, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto... Yeah, maybe not my best choice. Oh, 76,200. You know what? Legends Theory may be correct, because this was even more than the bonus I got the first time. So yeah, maybe. I'm going to try to land somewhere... Oh, that's probably Klesher, and yeah, I don't want to go to Klesher. They get upset when I fly about around Klesher, probably because I keep picking up my fellow Orgates there. We're going to head to HDMS Norgard to try to repair up some of this damage. The reason I want to do that at the moon here is because the moon has a lot lighter gravity than Hurston does. Hurston, higher gravity. Higher gravity means potential problems flying the ship in. Viewers who have been watching for the last few weeks may recall when I was trying to land in Hurston with a damaged Andromeda and started spinning way out of control. Way out of control. It ended poorly. I would prefer not to end poorly here. So we're going to try to make an approach at Norgard. Land and repair. Uh-oh. I may have chosen poorly here too. Let's break out the VTOLs, but VTOLs may not have been the smartest thing I could have done, but... So I'm going to need to be a little more careful about my approach speed here, because apparently that may be related to my problems. Do I still have all my engines intact? I do at least have all my engines intact. Let's drop the landing gear.
Landing gear deployed.
Now, I am 10 kilometers away, which is not the number I wanted to see. I was hoping to be a little bit closer than that. Your ship GPS has home set as Klesher. You'd be better off having your home at the aid station not too far from Klesher, so you could go there and get off planet. Or off the moon, as the case may be. 5 kilometers and closing. 4. 3. I can see the pads there. Let's kill the cruise control. And let's get rid of the gimbals here at the moment because I want to have a better view of everything. It is awfully dark outside. And my lights are on. But somebody's home. I'm going to go for the large pad over here. And we're going to try to land on this thing. And then we're going to hope that repair services are cooperating today. Sometimes they are. Sometimes not so much. Oh, I'm overshooting a little bit.
Landing automated.
Okay, the automated landing's working, so that's a promising sign. I try to do that on these pads
Landing complete.
so that I land at a spot where hopefully landing services will accept the fact that I am indeed here. Repair! And while I'm here, I might as well refuel too. Upper left-hand corner, we can see the damage on the ship. Once I see everything flashing there, that'll tell me that repairs are happening, and we will be ready to go back into action.
100%.
Guys? Guys? Thank you! Jeez, I was getting ready to say, guys, I'm paying you money to repair my ship. Repair it! Now, naturally, when you're at one of these outposts, you can go to the little storage area that you can see over... Well, I can't actually do that from here, can I? Can't show you my cursor, but it's on the front left of my ship. There's a... Well, maybe it's not there. Maybe it's back right. Oh, no, it's one that is at the top of my screen at the moment. That has the kind of red vertical line that you can kind of see glowing. That's where you would pick up cargo and load it onto your ship and theoretically deliver it somewhere and get paid. Andromeda has a decent-sized cargo bay, so it can handle that sort of thing. But thanks to, you know, worries about server crashes and all that, we're gonna leave it alone. Close up the VTOL, kick on the cruise, increase the speed.
And again, breathe.
And while I'm climbing myself out of what passes for an atmosphere in Aberdeen, let's see about targets. And look, it's another very high-risk target. Sometimes fate is good to me. Of course, the bad part is it looks like they're all gathering together, but I'm pretty sure there was at least one separated out from there. Yes. Oh, the good news and bad news. The good news is... Oh. Okay, the bad news is I apparently can't get a direct shot at them, so I'm at probably the wrong side of the moon for them. So, next step, go to an orbital marker. Now I should be able to set the destination. And it'll have all these lovely marks that tell me where I need to go. Next stop, Ita. Just for giggles. Keeping track of the numbers, we're closing in. Gotta love some of the names that they come up with for the targets. Billy Bits. Surely a name that strikes fear in the hearts of innocent civilians everywhere. Well, they can't all be winners. I seem to recall seeing a bounty target, and I don't think this was on one of my screens, but I thought he had the best, most intimidating name possible. Or at least his nickname it was, at any rate. He was known as the Dentist. Now that is a scary pirate name right there. Because he'll be the dentist and a success. Props to folks who understand the reference. I would assume that a lot of people know the reference, but you know, it's been a number of decades. It's quite possible not to be that way. Oh, ads are showing up. Oh, far be it from me to ignore them.
Shields damaged. Shields active. Check fire.
Oh, I'll check my fire. I'm gonna check them on the bad guys. Such bad language. You wouldn't want those to be your last words. But I guess you did. Oh, someone's hitting me with a scatter. That sounds like a hurricane.
Shields max.
Okay, things are getting a little,
Shields max.
Did they blow off that part again? I just fixed it.
Shields max.
This must be what Han Solo feels like all the time. I just fixed that part, now it's broken again.
Shields max.
Now, as you'll notice, this is not exactly what you would call agile and beautiful. It's a lot more agile than it used to be. Oh, you know what? I never killed this target. I thought I already killed up my secondary target here, but I guess I didn't. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Shields max.
Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Shields max.
Oh man, I was hoping at least for a kill on that.
Shields max.
It's a good thing my... You know what? I was getting ready to say it's a good thing my shields are so good, but then I just noticed my shield readouts, which are... Let's just say they're less than good. I could be in trouble. Now, that said, these guys are in worse trouble because there are a lot more red parts on them than there are on me. That said, I'm missing parts and they're not, so...
Shields damaged.
One to go.
Shields max.
Smart move would be... Oh, it's a Valkyrie. No wonder I've been taking pounding. Sheesh. Rude, rude, rude. Come on, higher, 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 higher. Whew. That was a piece of metal debris that I did not want colliding with my ship. Because that would probably be that. Oh, hurry up and go down.
Take fire.
Alright, well, my ship has taken a bit more of a beating, hasn't it? Not only did I lose the part that I fixed, I lost the one on the other side, too. Sometimes there's no justice. Well, I can do repairs at Everest. But that's not a priority. Right now, the priority is Billy Bits. Let's find out why Billy is so terrifying. Well, apparently he's so terrifying because I can't see him. The good news is, though, that means he's probably in a smaller ship as opposed to a Valkyrie. I'm relatively sure I would have seen a Valk by now. I'm betting on another Hurricane. Let's find out. Cap has reset his criminal status from shooting at me earlier, and he only had to murder one security guard. Well, you can't say you're not thorough. I'll let the viewer determine what thorough is. Alright, bounty awarded. Pro tip, they'll still shoot you after you clear your CS. Well, there's a lesson to be learned there, I'm sure. Hurricane and a Valve. Let's take out that Valve first, because honestly, that scared me more. That's the guy who was tearing me apart earlier.
Shields damaged. Shields damaged. Shields max.
One down, one to go. Alright, Hurricane. Let's finish the job.
Shields max.
Ah! I hit a rock. Oh, I got paid. I realize that is what it's called. Scant comfort, but the good news is my last spawn was here at Everest, which means I don't have to walk all around the entire landing zone of Lorville to get out. Incidentally, you see that number? We are just, let's see, we are just 65,000 short, thereabouts, of hitting the challenge goal. So let's see where things stand as far as retrieving the ship. When the ship is destroyed, at this point in time, you need to claim it, and there will be a timer that counts down, and you may or may not be able to expedite the timer down to instant. I'm pretty sure it won't be instant because the Constellation series are large ships, so there's probably going to be a premium attached. Claim. And it will be done in 27 minutes. But if I pay a fee, I can make it faster. 4.5 minutes. But if I'm going to wait 4.5 minutes anyway, I might as well just let that expedited fee drop down until we get to the 4.5 minutes where I can claim it instantly. In the meantime, you'll notice that my hydration and nutrition levels are back to 100% because, you know, dying is good for your health. Who knew? And let's take a look at bounty targets. 30,000, huh? Is there anything that'll give me 30,000 relatively easily? Okay. Okay, we can try this. Medium risk threat. And I guess in a way, there's a certain level of justice that if I can complete this and get the appropriate bonuses, there's a certain amount of justice in concluding the challenge in the ship that started it all. So while I'm waiting for the Constellation to get claimed, we're going to fly in the RSI Aurora MR. And we are going to end it as it began. Let's make sure I grab the right MR. I kind of accidentally on purpose used the code for the Freeflight just to make sure that it worked for everybody. Ah! Missing a weapon on there. Oh, that's rude. Let's store that. I am not going to fly with a ship that is not fully armed and operational. So we're going to store that because I can't put any weapons or anything on it until it is stored and at my location. And now that this is the case, there we go. Aurora. Go to weaponry. I'm missing the mount for that too. That's really annoying. Where's my Verapunk mount? I'm missing them on both. What the heck? Okay, well, you know what? The Prospector doesn't need this. The Prospector doesn't need the mounts right now, and I do, so. Now, why is it not? I should be able to mount guns on this mount. Why am I putting... Okay, so why is it letting me put a size 2 mount on here? Okay, we have some weird things going on right now. And I'm hoping it's not a bug that's happening here. And I have a horrible feeling... Yeah, there we go. I have no idea what was going on there. Yellow jacket repeaters. I'll have to make a note to put those Veripuck mounts back on my Prospector at some point, but not right now. All right. With that out of the way, let's pull out the MR. Oh, in a very real way, there's a certain level of justice here if I can do these bounties in the MR. Pad 1. And I'm going to keep hitting the call elevator button until the elevator arrives. Just like real life. Maybe if I hit it again, it'll come faster. There we go. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Although I shouldn't really say slowly, because really we're covering kilometers in this elevator in a relatively short period of time. Never complain about how slow the elevators are, because the truth is, they're not slow. They're incredibly fast. What the hell? I'm half tempted to believe this is Cap again. Because you usually don't see people parked out on pads that, you know, you've called up your ship on. I feel like that I've entered the Twilight Zone. Alright, let's power everything on.
Welcome to Robert Space Industries.
Lift up a bit.
System check.
And now it's gone. Definitely Twilight Zone here. It was you. Let me guess, you were wandering, looking around, trying to find the... oh, got impounded. Yeah, that figures. What, were you trying to hunt down where someone was calling an Aurora MR? Alright, let's take a look at possible target locations. We'll go with target number 1 over at Aberdeen. Yeah, I'm not hard to spot. Yeah, I need to link my guns to the same trigger button here. Okay, we're all set.
Is now on. Landing gear raised.
Had to come back to the station anyway, did you? Oh, you know, there's probably better ways to do it than getting impounded, but you know, whatever floats your boat, as they say. I'm not here to judge. So let's see what targets I have available on this medium risk group threat. Up my speed a little bit.
Radar contact.
And we have a light to the Cutlass Black. Well, this will be a personal pleasure.
Radar contact.
Up, and he has friends. Not this one. This must be one of the doubles. So let's start unloading a bunch of ballistic fire on him and see how long he lasts.
Radar contact. Radar contact.
You know, I'm getting an awful lot of radar contacts for a medium threat. Oh well. That just means higher bonuses.
Enemy down.
One down, multiples go. We're going to take out these ads, even if they aren't associated with the bounty target themselves, because they do pay, and, well, there's a lot of them.
Son of a bitch!
Shields damaged.
How rude. I'm really surprised that this guy is still breathing. There we go. Next target. A Hornet. Oh, Hornet's actually a pretty vicious target. Oh! Oh! Legitimate bounty target. Let's get him first. Ooh, Gladius. Fancy, awesome light fighter. Well guarded, well shielded. Let's make him blow up. Getting hits, getting hits, getting hits.
Enemy down.
And he's down too. Next target. There are an awful lot of fighters around here. Saber, well. Stealth fighters are a little more vulnerable when they're no longer stealthed. Of course, admittedly, stealth really isn't a thing in the game yet. Not much at any rate. Oh. Another Mustang.
Shit!
Rude. Mustang target shouldn't be around much longer. Landing plenty of hits.
Shields damaged.
Last target. Oh yes, the Hornet. I'm not going to underestimate the Hornet. The Hornet's a medium fighter, and if it's kitted out properly, it is scary. That said, it is still being piloted by an AI. Oh. Something just blew up, but it wasn't him. I think I blew a part of his ship off. Sadly, I have not blown the cockpit off. And that does it for him. So the good news is that the third bounty target should be a relatively simple affair. And now that I've said that, I've probably guaranteed a really nightmare fight ahead. That's okay. That is okay. Feels like it's been a while since I've been fighting in the Andromeda. Lexsmith73. I am doing fine, thank you. Welcome to the stream. I have had a little bit of practice against these guys, and to be fair, the AI opponents are pretty straightforward. They're relatively similar in size. I couldn't handle the very high-risk threats in an Aurora because Valkyries will tear this thing apart because it takes forever to break them. But against medium risk threats, the Aurora should do the job. One of my gimbals does seem to be a little off. I'm wondering if it didn't take the fourth gimbal properly. Or it could be just desync. And I've had a little bit of practice flying these things. That helps. Now, if you're going up against a player target, well, that's, shall we say, a lot more challenging because, as a general rule, player targets are going to be a lot more dangerous because they're a lot less predictable. Okay, let's see what the payout is on this bounty here. I'd probably get there faster if I would dismiss the awards. 32,000, which means they're about roughly 32,000 away from completing the challenge. So, let's grab another set. Because it still feels proper that everything end as it began, in the Aurora. I mean, sure, I could probably go out and reclaim the rented Constellation Andromeda now and have no trouble finishing things up. But I'm a big fan of Poetic Justice. You have an Aurora, haven't played the game that much, so it's still the only ship you have. Well, you know, that's okay. It's a decent way to start. The whole point of doing this challenge was to demonstrate that you could indeed use an Aurora to get enough funding to do most of the content in the game, honestly. I mean, I was doing the top-end AI bounties with a rented Constellation, and that was built up by the funds that I'd gotten initially in the Aurora MR. Oh, there's two targets here. Well, that's going to be inconvenient. Okay, let's pick up our speed a little bit and close in targets. And it just takes some target practice. One of the big things to deal with when you're flying against an AI opponent is a strategy that they tend to refer to as circle strafe. Basically, you strafe left or right and keep your nose towards your target. And the way the AI is, it has trouble hitting you. Now, some ships will be better than others. But for the most part, and you might want to mix it up sometimes. I might say strafe up instead of left and right, or strafe down. Point being that you want to avoid coming at them head on when you can, because if you can shoot them head on, they can shoot you head on. And if you're just starting out, they're probably a little bit better. But with enough practice, the shoe will go on the other foot. And you could also start engaging with other techniques like corkscrewing around a bit. I'm using a mouse and keyboard, so corkscrewing is a little challenging sometimes. Why will this guy not drop dead? He's got no more shields left. Okay, he's got left and right shields left. If I'm not careful, I'm gonna run out of ammo. I think a big key, one of the big keys to being able to get money at a decent pace when you're in an Aurora, is to start looking to earn enough money to get to rent the bigger ships. Once I got enough cash, I started renting the Anvil Arrow. For a one-day rental, that's a pretty good deal. It's a light fighter, it's better armed, you can take care of these kind of bounties a lot faster. As you start being able to go through the bounty hunting chains, start getting the medium risk, high risk, very high risk bounties, you can start grabbing something like the Vanguard Warden, which is a heavy fighter, or you could do what I've spent a great deal of the last couple weeks using, which is the RSI Constellation Andromeda, which hits like a tank. Let's see, don't have too much killing these as long as you don't crash into them. Yeah, that's the big thing there. They used to be a lot more kamikaze than they are now. They used to really go after you. But that's where that's where the circle strafe thing comes to mind. Because if you're doing a strafing left and right, or up and down, or what have you, the odds of them ramming right into you go down a lot. And if you can avoid crashing into them and avoid crashing into the asteroids, then you've already taken care of the hardest parts of the fight. Gladius variant, he'll take a bit of a hit. Now, I'm pretty sure at the moment I'm using ballistic weaponry, which means sooner or later I'm going to run out of ammunition. Hopefully it will not be during a fight. Shit. Language. When they start giving the bad language at you, you know you're close to doing them in. That said, the shields can regenerate. And Gladius is a pretty tough ship too for a light fighter. There we go. 2 more to go. I'm going to take a quick glance at my ammo supply. Okay, I should still be good with ammo. I still got like 2,300 rounds left on most of these cannons. Let's hope I don't pay for that judgment the hard way. Off to Aberdeen. I always recommend that if you're doing the PvE bounty hunts, that the Hurston system really is one of the best places for it. You'll get the standard bounties from Hurston Security, and if you're lucky, you'll have some North Rock bounties, which are the group bounties like I'm doing right now, and they'll all be in the same system, the same planetary system I made. It'll be around Hurston and its moons, as opposed to, say, some over at Hurston, some over at Crusader.
Drive is now off.
Okay, I could have sworn... What did I do wrong here? Okay, there's an orbital marker somewhere. Oh, my radar seems to be stuck. That's my problem. That's annoying. There we are. Sometimes interfaces go crazy and you have to start eyeballing things. You have to start looking to your HUD for the markers. Let's see. What are these markers are the target. This one is. Badru Samuelson. Love some of these names.
Quantum drive is now off. Quantum drive is now off.
Okay, there's the neutralized beacon. Let's see who I have to deal with. And let's try to close in a little faster because I get bored. And there's our target. Who is he? He's in a Cutlass Black. We would call that irony. Let's see. I think that I might consider chucking missiles at him.
Radar contact.
No, I guess not. Things are getting complicated already. If I'm really lucky, this Cutlass will ram into a rock. I didn't think I was going to get that lucky. Anytime you want to explode would be just peachy with me.
Enemy down.
There we go. Now the question is, do I want to stick around to fight these guys? Oh, wait a second. That wasn't actually my target. Oh, that's annoying. Now I'm just going to take it out on this guy. Buccaneers are pretty solid fighters. They've got a lot of guns. I guess that's a short answer. If they can get some good shots on you, they can hurt you pretty badly.
Ballistics ammo low.
Oh, that's not good. I did not want to hear that. I mean, it would have been. I would have been okay with it if, you know, I didn't actually have a live bounty here.
Ballistics ammo low. Enemy down.
There we go. And at this point, I'm not going to fiddle around with this guy because, well, like the guy said, ammo low. So I'm going to quantum travel out of here. And then I'm going to land on the moon,
Quantum drive is now off.
get myself restocked. Norgard, well, at least I know they have weapon stock, since I was there a little earlier.
Quantum drive is now off.
And hopefully that will give me enough to finish the job. Okay, there we go. Flip myself back around, because landing upside down would be difficult. Let's crank up the speed. I'll drop my landing gear early. I mean, I'm already flying a brick, why not?
Engines critical.
And I'm moving at a pretty good clip, honestly, at this altitude. Aberdeen has got a really disgusting atmosphere. I never liked it because, well, the atmosphere is roughly the same color as the ground. I'm just hitting my quantum drive occasionally to see that I'm still aiming at the right area. Oh good, I can finally see the ground. That's important because you don't want to hit the ground a little too hard and make a mess. Okay, we'll cut down our speed a bit. Ah, there's the landing pads. We'll drop velocity, kill the cruise control. And take our landing. Yeah, it does make things difficult being the same color. My favorite ship to fly? I am a big fan of the Mercury.
Landing complete.
I'd picked that up last year when it was on sale, and it was, my understanding was it was going to be out later that year, so I felt relatively confident in pledging for it. It's not a combat vessel exactly, it's obviously, and roughly a third of its gameplay is effectively not in the game yet. But I just like flying it. Really, there's not a whole lot of ships I don't enjoy flying so far. I think there's only 2 ships that have been on my list of, oh god, why do I want to fly this?
100%.
And the first one of those is the Reclaimer, which is the most massive ship in the game,
Take off.
and it handles like it. Ugh. It took me forever to get to the point where I could get the thing to lift off of a planet. I was fiddling with that during the various expos and the like. It was not an experience I would voluntarily repeat. And the second one that I'm not a big fan of because it's equally lumbering is the Starfarer. Now, Starfarer, I would imagine, doesn't see much reason to be on the ground, at least once all the gameplay is properly put in. Because its purpose in existence is to be a refueling starship. Looks like it's not going to let me jump there conveniently. I have to use an OM marker. But it's equally tough to lift off the ground, and the interior layout is... Okay, I admit the interior layout has nothing to do with flying the thing, but on the other hand, you do have to get to the cockpit, and the interior layout is how you get there, and it is a nightmare. I mean, ugh. Whoever designed the interior of that thing, I don't know what they were smoking. On the other hand, I guess it would be a great way to defend yourself against mortars, because they'd have no idea where to go half the time.
Quantum drive is now off. Quantum drive is now off.
But the top favorite on my list right now, definitely the Mercury. It's an all-around sort of ship. That's what I consider my daily driver.
Is now off. Quantum drive is now off.
Our final target is ahead. Let's close in. And maybe this time I'll actually have the right target to start with, as opposed to attacking the wrong target first. Now, sadly, right now, the Mercury cannot be purchased in-game or rented in-game, but I would imagine that that will change at some point, and it probably won't be horribly much longer either. There are a lot of ships that you can buy in-game, and we'll be looking at that shortly, because I anticipate that once this guy is down, I will have the funds necessary to pick up the Cutlass Black. And while I'm there, I might as well take a look at the other possible ships that would be purchasable with that kind of funding. This guy's flying a Gladius, and he's doing a reasonably good job, and I see his backup has already arrived. That was real close. Try to avoid hitting debris. That would make this fight a little bit uglier. I'm not sure if you've flown with the gimbal mounts very much, but the gimbals really do make all the difference in fighting these things if you're starting out. Eventually you'll get to the point where you want to monkey around with fixed weapons. But when you're starting everything out and trying to just learn the game, gimbal mounts are the way to go. Honestly, they're pretty good to use even if you have learned the game. It doesn't really matter on the Aurora. You might as well have the gimbals on the Aurora because they're fitting size 1 guns anyway, so you're not downgrading anything. And one final target. Ah! Sometimes everything desyncs on the server with the server and your computer, and suddenly the enemy starts teleporting around. I am not getting good shots at this guy. There we go. Better.
Enemy down.
Alright, let's get myself straightened out here, and let's take a look at the funding. 6081639. We have hit the goal. 1 second here. Geez, I don't have that up. Our goal target today was to get to 6,069,000. We are at 6,081,000. We have gained all the profit necessary to purchase the Cutlass Black. So we are now going to go to Loreville for our grand finale. The real irony is if I come into Loreville and I end up crashing on the way in. That would be icing on the cake. That won't happen. Don't have the same control problems that I do with the Constellation Andromeda.
Water drive is now off.
Oh, good. The best part is it looks like Loreville is on the other side, which means it will be nice and bright out.
Water drive is now on.
While we're at it, let's do math. Let's see. I'm not doing that right either. Just a moment here. Hopefully I won't crash when I'm getting the stuff inputted in properly. Minus 9 equals plus, and once I do one more copy, hopefully I'm not crashing. And there, profit updated. Oh, I'm flying upside down. Let's see if I can get past the Hurston Dynamics building on the other side where the landing bay is. And there it is, 1.4 million in profit. Objective complete. The sad thing about the Aurora is that it is a brick, which means flying through atmosphere. How long did it take me to make this? Okay, well, here's how the math works here. In fact, let me bring this up. What we're seeing on the screen right now is the progress that I had made throughout the challenge. Each of these days that are listed here were basically 2-hour stretches. So technically speaking, if you wanted to get exact about it, it took about 20 hours. Now that could be divvied up in your gameplay time however you want throughout the week. So if you were to be a hardcore player and play 5 hours a week, 5 hours a day, you could do Monday through Friday and be done. Now, that said, there is some caveats. I have been playing the game for a year, so I've had plenty of time to figure out how to fly the ship, fight in the ship, do the deed. Also, some of those hours were hardly what you would call hardcore. At least on one of those days, I did nothing, well, almost nothing, except see all the new stuff that came out with the 3.12 patch. Now it occurs to me that I'm flying here and I'm not asking for landing permission. Let's do that.
Please proceed to assigned landing.
So mileage will vary. But this can be done. You can do it. If you work yourself up the reputation right now with the bounty hunting stuff, you can make a pretty good amount of money on those group bounties. I recommend the North Rock bounties, because those group bounties pay extremely well.
Landing automated. Landing complete.
And when you get to the point where you can rent the Constellation Andromeda,
Stay.
I highly recommend using that, because that will go through most targets at an obscene rate of speed. I mean, I was discounting the utility of that ship, and this challenge made me a believer. Four size 4 guns are no joke. And most of those profits did come from the last few weeks when I was using the Andromeda. Destroy the monitor missions are quite good as well. Almost no risk and complete quick for a nice payoff. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, although I'm going to confess something. I've never managed to succeed in those missions. I don't know why, it's just never really worked out for me. I tend to go for the claim jumpers. I do have the money on the screen, that's a good point. Let's go back so we can actually see... There we go. So we can actually see Lorville, and more specifically, New Deal. For some reason, there is only one single terminal in here. That still drives me nuts. They ought to have at least 2. But I was not consulted, as usual. Now, before I drop 1.4 million, let's take a look at the other possibilities that could be picked up for 1.4 million. I have declared that I'm getting the Cutlass Black, because that was the goal of the entire experience here. But I want to show that other options exist at that price tag, or near that price tag. The Avenger Warlock, for example, is a fighter with an EMP attached to it. You see, you completed 2 monitor missions for 20k each and a bounty for 18k in a space of 25 minutes yesterday. Excellent, you are on your way. That is the way to start things out. The key to a successful future is a successful past. EMPs are, well, it depends on the point in the game you're at, really. Sometimes EMPs are really, really good, and then they get nerfed like hell. Then they get buffed like crazy. It is what it is. I don't think they've really found the right spot for the EMP generators yet. For 1.1 million, you can get the Aegis Gladius, which is one of the top 2 light fighters in the game. It has 2 shield generators, highly maneuverable, and pretty well armed. Continuing down, you'll see there's a couple of really cheap stuff here. These tend to be ground vehicles, and they're pretty handy for limited usage, at least for now. I like to use land vehicles when I'm doing ground bunker missions. I drop far away, unload a ground vehicle, and drive the rest of the way so I don't have to worry about the turrets. At slightly over 1.4 million, if you were willing to push it for another couple $100K, you could pull yourself a Misk Freelancer, which is a medium freight ship, good shields, good cargo, good guns. I'm a fan of the Freelancer, which is why I have a Freelancer and I don't have a Cutlass yet. Well, with one exception. I'll go into that in a second. And if you just go for a few 100,000 after that in increments, you can go for either the Exploration variant, which has bigger fuel tanks, or the Max, which has a much bigger cargo capacity. You have flown a Freelancer and like it. I approve. I am a big fan of the Freelancers, despite the opinions of a number of individuals in my org. But hey, what do they know anyway? They're heathen. You can also pick up, at a very reasonable price, the Misk Reliant Core, which is one of the more interesting designs because once you turn off its VTOLs, it flies in a vertical position. Right now it's in its horizontal position, but those wings will rotate around to a vertical position for combat. It's an interesting look. I've got an org mate who swears by it. Not a bad ship, and the price is right. Honestly, I cannot recommend the Aurora ES. That's the Essential. That has even less stuff than the Aurora MR, and if you're pledging the Aurora MR, good heavens, why would you do this to yourself? I'm not even sure why it's in the game. That's just how I feel about that one. Obviously, if you wanted to go crazy and have multiple Aurora MRs, the price is pretty good there too. You're probably not going to go that route, however. Ursa Rover is a ground vehicle, and again, very affordable. It's basically a mini tank. Lots of wheels. It can get over some obstacles pretty well, but if it gets stuck on a rock, bad things happen. Yeah, you wouldn't do that to yourself either. Right there with you. We have more Cyclones. You can also pick up, if you want to go really crazy, an Anvil Ballista, which is a surface-to-air vehicle, meaning you can't see it on this image here, but this back bed here carries anti-aircraft missiles. The problem is, it's a very, very, very limited use sort of thing. There's only one starship at the moment that can even carry the ballista, which means, for the most part, it's along the lines of you call it up at a vehicle pad and drive it until you're out of whatever armistice zone is nearby, and then pick on anybody flying nearby if you want. It's not something I really recommend, but at least not at this time. I'm hoping that sooner or later, especially with the advent of the C2 and M2 Hercules coming out in a few months, which will also be able to carry these. So we may see ballistas become more of a presence when that happens. I spent too long on the screen. Let's go back down here. Origin 85X is it's kind of like a snub fighter. I don't really recommend it unless you want to use it as a ship that goes inside of another ship, like maybe an Anvil Carrack, perhaps. The M50 Interceptor is a racing ship. Racing stuff really isn't heavily in the game yet, but it's on the list. It is a fast fighter. You can say a lot of good things about it. I do not, however, currently recommend the Mantis. Mantis is an interdictor ship. It can pop up 2 levels of quantum disruption. It can either pop out a bubble of quantum disruption, which means anybody in quantum travel who crosses into the bubble will be stopped dead. And then it has a standard quantum disruption weapon, which will prevent people from running away from you. But as I understand it right now, it's not really working quite right at the moment. It's another one of those things that I expect to be tweaked as time goes on. A couple more Reliant variants. The Grey Cat Rock, which is the mining vessel, well, mining vehicle, 4-wheel drive, and until the bounties had their change recently, this was probably the best way to make cash in the game. If you would load up a load of Hadanite, fill it up, you would get over 200,000 credits per run. But there's been some issues with mining late, and then there was the increase in bounty hunting, so bounty hunting right now is what I would call the meta for making income. You could pick up the 100i series, which are light fighters, light hauling. This includes the 100, 125A. There might be a couple others on here. I do not recommend the MPUVs at this time. Never tried mining? Mining's not a bad thing to do. There's a number of variants on mining.
Sorry, you exceeded the allotted time to depart.
Yes, store my ship. Go ahead, guys. And I'll probably do a stream with mining in it sometime in the next couple of weeks, I think. I think next week I'm probably going to go criminal again. Give people the joy of seeing what it's like to be in prison. It's one of the things that are on my future list.
Initiating ship storage procedure.
And demonstrating mining is also on the list.
Thank you for your cooperation.
MPUVs are basically shuttlecraft. They do not have a quantum drive, which means you cannot target, say, for example, another ship, or if you're on a space station, you can't target the landing zone. Yeah, don't feel the urge to try it at the moment. That's okay. There's a lot to do in this game, and plenty of time to try it all. And since we're speaking of mining, I already passed that somewhere on that, didn't I? Don't recommend the MPUVs. I mentioned the Buccaneers earlier. This is what the Buccaneer looks like a little bit closer. Got these big engines on there, and it's got a fairly decent amount of armament, and it is within our 1.4 million. I think we know where this ship is going. For slightly more, you can get the Cutlass Red, which I consider right now to be one of the better ships out there because it has a medical bed. If you're the kind of person who's doing a lot of the ground missions, it might be nice to have a respawn point that's right outside where you're killed, as opposed to having to lug it from the closest space station or closest landing zone. Drake Dragonfly. If you're thinking Star Wars speeder bikes, this is it. I do not recommend the Drake Herald at this time. It is, what's the kindest way to put this? Completely useless. Yes, that was the kindest way I could put it. It's designed for data running, but that gameplay does not yet exist. It has no cargo room. Its weaponry is almost non-existent. The only thing it has are these massive engines. That's it. Until data running becomes a thing, I do not recommend that ship. And that is the list of ships here. I'm also going to add that at Area 18, you can pick up the Anvil Hornet, which is a medium fighter craft, which is an excellent, excellent investment, especially if you upgrade some of its parts to make it scary. However, as mentioned, you know what I didn't see in here? Oh, that's right. That's because it wasn't 1.4 million. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the Drake menu here again. Once I click on the proper thing here, and we will make the official purchase of the Cutlass Black.
How good did that just feel? No rush like buying a new ship.
Hey, got that right. No rush like buying a new ship. And that concludes the Aurora MR Challenge. And because I have a little bit of money left over, I'm going to buy myself the Constellation Andromeda from my funds gained outside of the challenge. Because it made me a believer during this challenge that this is a ship worthy of purchase.
Hell of a good decision.
And that takes care of that. Alright, we are past the 3 o'clock p.m. hour, which means we are at the end of the stream. I certainly hope you've enjoyed watching both the stream and the entirety of the Aurora MR Challenge. I believe I've adequately demonstrated that you could pretty much do whatever you want to do in the game with just the real money of a starter package. The price of the game itself and nothing else. Eventually, even the ships that are not currently purchasable in the game will be purchasable in the game. So even the Aurora MR, that's one of the more recent ships to have come out, I will not be surprised if by summertime, I'll be surprised if it hasn't shown up at one of the ship shops somewhere in the standard system. I will be returning next week at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern to continue playing Star Citizen. We will probably be taking a look at the bad side of life, what it's like to be a pirate, or at the very least, what it's like to walk on the wrong side of the law, let's put it that way. I also do streams on Wednesday night for Star Trek Online. I do that at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for watching, whether you catch this live now or later on through Twitch or through YouTube. I always appreciate having folks here. It's been great hanging with you too, Lexmus. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.